Good morning and welcome to Quest Television and Quest 93.1 FM. It is the 12th day in the month of July in the year 2023. A lovely Wednesday morning here in the studios, and well, another Wednesday morning for us to look into the newspapers and see what the headlines have for us. My name is Orikemi Marim, and welcome to the paper review on Quest today. Making a return back to the studio this morning, now 5 newspapers. We have The Guardian, The Nation, The Daily Sun, The Daily Trust, as well as The Punch newspaper. And it's a beautiful midweek. I do not do this alone. Still with me this morning in the studio is Comrade Efe Odomo, our admirable Quest analyst, and well, you know the rest. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning. I know when Nigerians hear your voice early morning like this, they already know that the newspaper is around the corner. Just like you don't need to attend any spiritual home to know that a snake will give birth to a long fetus. Okay, well, comrade, you and your proverbs. But before we go into all of that, let's head straight into the papers. The first paper for review will be the Daily Sun. And on the Daily Sun this morning, the major headline reads, it says, House of Reps stops CBN and universities. The writer there says no to Apex Bank social media KYC policy, varsities and Unity Schools tuition fees hike. Well, this has been making rounds on the social media space lately, and well, it's been a couple of newspapers, but I do want to continue the story on page 6 of the Daily Sun. Next, we have right beside the masthead, it says tension and anger in Southeast as ECMA declares 2-week sit at home from July 31st. The writer there says peace group asks Finland to repatriate him and other IPOB members, and also abducted Reverend Father and 3 others freed in Ebonyi. Do want to read the story of page 4 and continue on page 26 of the Daily Sun. Moving away from that and down below, we have on insecurity. It says Southeast governors to meet Tinubu. Well, I wonder what they're going to discuss, but I already know it's going to be bordering on insecurity. Do want to read that story on page 28. Next, we have on subsidy removal. It says why we're yet to resume petrol import, says oil marketers. The writer there says 7.5% VAT on diesel will inflict more hardship. More on the story you can get on page 21. Benue Assets Recovery Committee storms Autumn's house and cut away exotic cars. Comrade. That's another consumer.
Yes, well, do want to read all of that story on page 27 of the Daily Sun. NNPCL gearing up for IPO, says Kiari. The writer there says seeks support to tackle insecurity and inadequate funding. You can continue that story on page 25. Power market aggregator Aboki FX raises exchange rates to 800 naira per dollar. You can read all of that on page 2. What if getting on page 29 of the Daily Sun, it says ex-Lagos Deputy Governor Ojikutu asks political leaders to be discerning in decisions. And moving away from that, says on Forbes 2023 index, Dangote is still Africa's richest man for 12th consecutive year. The writer there says listed among world's 200 richest persons. You do want to read that story on page 21. Senate Standing Committee, it says Akpabio snubs ex-governors and PDP ranking senators. The writer that says names head of appropriations, public accounts, and 6 committees. You can continue to read that story on page 6. And also we have experts list causes and solutions to Nigeria's rising inflation, making it to page 28 of the Daily Sun. And for the picture of the day, we can see the special advisor to Borno State Governor on Humanitarian Affairs, Mairu Mandara, and also Pakistani education activist Malala Yousafzai, and United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, and the wife of the governor Fatmata Zalum in Maiduguri yesterday. And what else much we can take on the front page of the Daily Sun. The next paper for review is the Daily Trust. And on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the major headline reads OPEC false calls against funding of fossil fuels in Africa. The writer there says we needed to drive industrialization, says the African petroleum producers, and NNPCL denies blocking oil and gas sector deals. Also allays IOC's divestment fears. You can read all of this on page 4 of the Daily Trust. Moving above the leading story, we have EcoBank versus Otudeco. They say why we have not acted. This is a statement from the CBN. We've been following this story. Well, do want to continue today on page 19 of the Daily Trust. Reps asks NUC to hold fees hike in varsities, is making it to page 21. And FMDQ exchange, it says the traded derivatives market goes live. You can continue to read that story on page 21 of the Daily Trust. Moving down below on insecurity, it says rise up to occasion, PDP governors tell Tinubu. More on that story you can get on page 10. What we'll be getting on page 5, it says the union petitions federal government over NSITF illegal recruitment and unremitted deductions. Moving on from that, we have man killed for stealing bread in Bayelsa. Wow, sad one indeed.
Bread.
I have no words to cover of that, but do want to read that story on page 25. And also Tinubu orders manhunt for Plateau and Benue killers. The story you can read on page 7. And well, for the picture of the day, we can see the PDP Governors Forum after their meeting in Abuja, and this picture was taken yesterday. And well, that's much you can take on the front page of the Daily Trust. The next paper for review is The Punch. And on The Punch this morning, the major headline is talking about Naira devaluation. As it says, Nigerian students face tough times in UK and tuition soars by 60%. The writer there says new forex rate threatens overseas students and indebted scholars barred from classes. And also parents beg federal government for concession of tuition and living costs climb amid forex crisis. All of this you can get on page 2 of The Punch. Moving away from that and above the masthead, we have SEC investigates Otudeko's FBN shares acquisition. You can read all of that on page 9. PDP governors demand credible polls in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo is one making it to page 5 of The Punch. And APC crisis deepens as Omishori labels Lukman black sheep. Quite a bold statement. We'll read all of that on page 27. Moving on, we have police kills sit-at-home enforcers and IPOB declares 14-day lockdown. It's making it to page 27. Also, panel storm automobile workshop and impound vehicles. I believe these are the exotic cars we read earlier on one of the dailies, which is, I believe, is the Daily Trust or the Daily Sun. But do want to continue the story on page 28. And also, FMDQ Exchange launches derivatives market. It's making it to page 22 of The Punch. And for the picture of the day, we can see Vice President Kashim Shettima as he receives the leadership of the 10th House Representatives led by the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas at the presidential villa in Abuja. This picture was taken on Tuesday. And well, that's much we can take on the front page of The Punch. The next paper for review this morning is The Guardian. And on The Guardian, the major headline reads Akpabio and 13 senators to earn over 5.6 billion naira ex-governors' pensions and benefits. Comrade, I do not know why you're looking at me as though I am one of those.
That figure, you know.
Well, more on that story you can get on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. Moving on from that, we have hotel staff to die by hanging for killing manager and UK returnee. Making it to page 8. FMDQ introduces exchange traded derivatives market. It's making it to page 10 of The Guardian. And separating empowerment project from First Lady's vanities is quite an interesting headline, and you can read all of that on page 5. Tinubu breaks silence and orders arrest of Plateau and Benue killings masterminds is making it to page 6. And also Coalition 6 Remim Gado's sack and revisit of 2006 report on Kwankwaso. More on that you can get on page 30. Reps tackle banks over illegal deductions and indiscriminate charges is making it to page 4. And well, that's much we can take on the front page of The Guardian. The final paper for review this morning is The Nation. And on The Nation newspaper, the major headline reads Adamu's incapacitation talk sparks roll over Akeredolu. The writer there says Ondo State PDP raises dust. And from the deputy governor, he says, I spoke with him on Sunday. More on this you can read on the front page and continue on page 4 of The Nation. Moving above the masthead, we have border reopening plan in progress, says Customs CG. More on that story you can get on page 4. And also we have no ministers list yet, says APC. The writer there says what's in circulation is fake. It's making it to page 29 of The Nation this morning. How Wike helped Tinubu to win Rivers by Okocha is also making it to page 29 of The Nation newspaper as well. And also VAT likely to go up is making it to page 7. Naira sells at 788 naira per dollar in official and parallel market is also making it to page 7 of The Nation. Moving away from that, we have Senate to investigate 9.3 trillion naira spending on petrol subsidy in 30 months. The writer there says NNPCL, well, in quotes, spent 400,000 or rather 400 billion naira monthly, and also oil giant soon to go public. Well, all of this you can read on the front page and continue on page 4. Senate sets up 7 ad hoc committees. There's one you can read on page 6, and Tinubu sad over Plateau and Benue killings is making it to page 27. And what for the picture of the day, we can see a destroyed vessel. This vessel was destroyed yesterday, and the headline there says intercepted vessel destroyed in Delta with 150 MTs of crude worth $86.8 million. You can do all to read that story on page 5. And well, at this point, we've taken all the headlines on the front pages I mentioned earlier, which is The Guardian, The Nation, The Daily Trust, The Daily Sun, as well as The Punch. At this point, I'll open the phone line so you can call into the show and have your say. The numbers to call are on your screen, but for those on radio, the numbers remain 080-229-31931 and 081-8888-931. Do not forget to stick to the headlines on the front pages of all the dailies I mentioned this morning. With that being said, let's take our first call.
Yes,
hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is what I heard from Motoga.
Yes, Mr. Henry, welcome. Please have your say.
House of Reps asked NEC to hike of school fees.
Yes.
Now, the truth that the country today is not conducive financially for everybody, except people who are getting money from no sources. Increasing school fees now is looking like you're adding a spray to burning water, burning fire. Please, they should have this thing for now. There is no high school fees now. Then again, intercepted vessel destroyed in the state had 150 MT of food worth $86.8 million.
Yes.
Now, the truth is that the idea of just burning all these things is not over. Why don't they keep them and investigate? And if need be, they can return it to the source. We are very poor forecasting. Why burning them means that like there's ulterior motive behind them. Then again, finally, about you, the people to earn over $5.2 billion as ex-governor pension benefit. Now, to the state government, participation for ex-governors that they did to. Sarah, the Salaman, describe any as illegal. Listen, these people are wasting. People who really need pension, they are not paid. It's too much. We should stop all the pressure for the ex-governors, for Christ's sake. That's a good man.
All right, thank you. Let's take more reactions. The headlines are quite interesting today, so let's take more reactions. Before we move over to Comrade. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Well, if you're having issues connecting with us, you can drop your messages on our social media platforms. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, ma.
Good morning, sir. Your name, your location, please, and have your say.
Mr. Friday calling from Izabono.
All right, Mr. Friday.
Talking about border reopening.
Yes.
I think that should be the first priority of this government. To open a border so that we will have food in this country. Very important. They should do it without wasting time. The other one, they're talking about the interception of the vessel on the IC and destroying it. That's an effort in futility. You can't be fighting a cause without at least that cause is not bringing any result. Once you intercept a vessel and you destroy the resources, the content of the vessel, everything in it, it's not acceptable. They should do the needful. They would have returned that vessel, returned the crude back to the base for the benefit of Nigerians, not destroying it.
All right, thank you very much for your reaction. But we have room left for one more caller on the show before we move over to Comrade. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. Your name, your location, please. Yeah. Have your say.
Okay, this is Paul from Mogele.
All right, Mr. Paul.
Yes, Tinubu sad over Benue killings, Benue and Plateau killings.
Yes.
How long are we going to keep on being sad instead of taking action? That human beings are being killed like chickens in this country by people that feel they are untouchable and they are above the law. Is Fulani herdsmen above the law in this country? Are they untouchable? The government should act fast and hit them strong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, at this point, we'll move on to the calls. And let's move over to Comrade. Well, Comrade, you've heard the reactions.
Yes, much ado.
Yes, let's start from the students' loan, or rather the school fees hike, in terms of varsities and all of that. Our question now is this. Is this due to the student loan bill that was proposed or that has been passed? I mean, what is the reason for this so-called hike? Because before now, we've been hearing about this, the proposal to increase the price of school fees, tuition, and all of that.
The president came in and said with the student loan that they are about granting, the funding of tertiary institutions will stop. And when you stop funding institutions, so how do they raise money to run their affairs? The only way to get the money is through the school fees. And the only way they can meet up is to increase the school fees.
Okay.
And two, you know quite well that the Naira is on a free fall. And when you're on a free fall, the value of the money that can procure any goods or services will go up. So it is not out of it that the school fees are going up. No, it is a comparative analysis. When the Naira falls, which means you need much more Naira to purchase what you were purchasing before. And that is exactly what is applied in this situation. You cannot say that they are increasing the school fees arbitrarily according to the papers. They are just following the economic trend of what the Naira is going through.
Okay, well, talking about increase in any sort of money, let's move over to the headline on the front page of The Guardian, where it says Akpabio and certain senators to earn over 5.6 billion Naira ex-governors' pensions and benefits. It seems as though there's an increase there as well.
What do we understand by the word pension? Pension is meant for ex-service people. You know, where at times when you are going, you see some bosses, ex-servicemen, which means those men are no longer serviceable. They are retired and they are tired. Go home and sit down until God calls you, and you take this little token to maintain yourself pending that time. Now you say you are earning pension as a retired governor. I have never heard that language anywhere, any part of the world. Now you retire from there into the Senate, and you make it your retirement entitlement in the Senate. You can be there for life. You are now earning salary from your previous employment as a pensioner, and you are in another place earning even a higher salary and higher allowances and emoluments. And they are telling us that there is no money in the country. Two persons cannot be seated on the table. One person is eating and the other one is not eating, and you expect peace to reign. Most of the problems we have in this country today is the misappropriation and misapplication of the funds that we have. When you concentrate a lot in one hand and the other hands are empty, what do you think that will happen?
Taking from what you said right now, is Nigeria not yet old enough to be able to do things correctly in terms of appropriation of funds and payments and salaries and stuff like that? We
are not old enough, because every day we continue learning. We will hear that we want to start again. Tomorrow we want to start again. Now bring in the issue of this the certificate lady.
The jam lady.
If they prosecute that girl, everyone that sits to prosecute that girl is guilty of that same offense. How many of our elected leaders today that are not in court over certificates of forgery? How many of us in the court today, in the elected positions today, that have not gone through the same system? You forgot somebody in this country used a Toronto certificate, that the university that never existed. You also don't forget that some people presented something as water has never been to be to lead some sections of the country. Have you also forgotten? How many of them do we count?
Well, the
rot in the system didn't start today. It started over 30 years ago. Is it because this one is just coming into limelight? We know people who have come without any qualification, and they are there. Until the country places merit over paper qualification, we will not move from where we are.
Comrade, we have moved away from the main question and moved on to something else.
Yes, definitely, because
is Nigeria not old enough yet?
We are not old enough. That's why I'm analyzing all these things. We are not old enough. If we are old enough, somebody somewhere will have hit the nail on the head. Okay,
well, still talking about hitting the nail on the head, rather. Another headline that seems to have gotten the reaction of many, the attention of many callers this morning. It says intercepted vessel destroyed in Delta with 150 empties of crude, worth $86.8 million. Don't forget about yesterday or thereabouts, we had another vessel being destroyed. Now, what's your take on this?
That vessel that is being destroyed, it's just like you have come in here, you steal my property. Then you are caught. We destroy the property, we destroy the evidence.
Does this not mean that at this point they're destroying these vessels knowing fully well that, okay, they do not want to just take they don't want to hold those who are responsible for stealing.
If you say you don't want to hold those who are responsible, then one of you must be responsible for the act. Responsible for the act in the sense that you must be aware of what is happening.
In other words, they are destroying these vessels purposely.
Yes, purposely, to cover up some issues. You cannot say crude oil is stolen, then you are destroying the vessel and the crude oil. What is the essence? What is the economic benefit of it? Like the other caller said, why don't you return that oil and let it be an economic gain for the country instead of destroying it? What have you gained? They paraded some people on telly yesterday that they were oil thieves. Are we going to have any result from that parade? Is there going to be any prosecution, even punishment? Is the case not going to be swept under carpet as usual?
Well, comrade, you and I do not know at this point.
Of course, we do not know. We wait for the final answer.
One thing I am sure of this morning
that we can log off.
We have to log off to allow the next come in. We have to go pay those bills. Well, thank you very much for being on air with me.
Which bills are we paying? I look forward to seeing you, 5.6 billion.
I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Well, with that being said, thank you very much, our dear viewers and listeners, for making a paper review on Quest today. Have a lovely Wednesday.